Hello guys, it's me again.
Hello,
Today
I'm
we're
Shank,
gonna
and this
watch transforming a 90s Hot Wheel PC into a modern gaming PC. Let's go.
is the Hot Wheels Sleeper PC. It's a current, absolutely top-of-the-line gaming PC crammed into the infamous 90s computer case. But what's even crazier than this monstrosity is the story of how I wound up building it. It all started with a phone call from my friend Kale. Hello?
You have to come to this.
Kale told me a story of an old computer warehouse called Computer Reset, whose owner had been collecting computer hardware for decades. However, due to declining health of the owner, the warehouse was being liquidated. I wasn't much into retro computing, but the warehouse was full of CRT monitors, something I am very much into. Upon my adventures digging through the warehouse, I acquired many of the CRTs I was looking for, but also something I wasn't looking for.
Check it out, there was also a Hot Wheels computer or two lying around. Somebody else picked that up.
It was me. I grabbed it. And I began to wonder. The Hot Wheels computer was sold as a set. Could the Hot Wheels CRT, one of the 2 tubes on my CRT bucket list, be here too? Well, I didn't find the Hot Wheels CRT, or any Hot Wheels accessories for that matter. In a desperate last-ditch effort, I made sure everyone there was aware I was on the hunt for the blue flame-engulfed monitor. They said they would let me know if they found one, but you know how that goes.
Bruh, stupid ads. Now I'm poor to buy YouTube Premium, so
When I got home,
no.
I opened up the Hot Wheels PC to
Let's
discover that the
continue.
motherboard was completely corroded and beyond repair. Since restoring it was not an option, I opted to give it new life as a sleeper gaming PC. My budget for the project at the time was thin, so I began accumulating scrap parts. A mini ITX board, an older mid-range processor, and a sketchy power supply from Goodwill. With these parts in hand, I bit the bullet to buy the remaining parts, spending around $300 on a GTX 1650 Super graphics card, 16 gigs of RAM, and a low-profile cooler. I got to work assembling it, with the only required modification being cutting out a hole in the back of the removable frame for the GPU. And with an afternoon of work, I had an older mid-range computer in a Hot Wheels chassis with no accessories. Not something cool enough for a video, but at least Well, it turns out word about my hunt for the Hot Wheels CRT got around. Not one, but 2 members of the DFW retro computing community had Hot Wheels CRTs for me. Abraham had a monitor and a keyboard for me, while David had a second monitor and a palm rest. Rather than making a video, I decided I would unveil it at LTX 2020, where I had been invited as a featured guest. But then this, thing happened in 2020 and plans changed. Nevertheless, I continued to keep my eyes out for other Hot Wheels computer parts, slowly working my way towards a complete set. But things really got interesting when I received another message from David, who had a very special surprise for me. As some of you may know, the Hot Wheels PC had a sister, and her name is Barbie. David hooked me up with a Barbie PC and monitor, along with the original box and much of the original documentation. With both the Hot Wheels and the Barbie PC, walking away from this was no longer an option. And while neither was a complete set, I was on my way there as I tracked down more and more parts. I was convinced nothing was going to stand in my way of getting the missing
Oh, not
parts.
1, not 2, not
That is,
3.
until one Friday when I was watching the WAN show.
Do you want to do the bounty now? We got a bounty,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hot Wheels PC. I want to do a video. I've actually wanted to do a video about it for a long time. There's also a Barbie PC, and I'll accept either. I will give you $5,000 for a full set. 5K.
I reached out through Twitter and email, offering to lend them mine for the video. But it was too late. People who own these parts now believed, because a single YouTuber was willing to pay $5,000 for one, that everyone was willing to pay that much. Listing prices skyrocketed and have stayed there ever since, despite the fact that nobody is actually buying them. These PCs really aren't that rare, but are rarely sold on eBay due to their large size. At this point, I felt pretty defeated. There was no way I was going to be able to afford to buy the remaining parts at the newly inflated prices and buy the computer parts to make a sleeper. The project was dead. That is, until Micro Center caught wind of what I was trying to do. Not only did they want in, but they wanted me to crank it to 11. They offered to supply the parts for 2 PCs and told me they wanted to help me make the builds as crazy as possible. I was intrigued and took it upon myself to see just how absurd I could make the parts list before they said no. They didn't. So, armed with a new $7,000 shopping list, I hopped in my car and headed to Micro Center to take on my first ever big budget project. For the uninitiated, Micro Center is a computer retail store that's basically a haven for nerds. The store is just aisles and aisles of cool stuff, and more than just computers. They have a whole maker section with supplies and tools like 3D printers and soldering equipment. But by far my favorite part about Micro Center is their massive computer component selection.
I'm looking for a keyboard that says, "I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world."
Funny enough, back when I used to work for one of Micro Center's now defunct competitors, I still purchased my CPU and motherboard from Micro Center because their prices were lower than my employee discount. They have an online PC builder tool to easily make a list of compatible parts available for same-day in-store pickup. Or, for an added fee, you can have a technician assemble the parts into a gaming rig for you. Micro Center also has a promotion where, if you walk into the store with a coupon, they'll give you a free 128 gig flash drive with no purchase necessary. I'll have a link to that coupon in the description.
Bro, he can't go back now.
You're right. I don't think it's gonna all fit. Do you think you could pick me up in the Jeep?
Bruh.
But before we get to work assembling this monster, first let's take a look at the Hot Wheels PC case itself. And more importantly, why building a high-performance gaming PC inside of one of these is not a walk in the park. To open the computer, first we need to remove these screws. Then, the main chassis slides right out. This metal frame houses all the computer parts, while the Hot Wheels body is just a shell that slides over it. Right off the bat, you can see there is not a lot of space to work with. Unplug some cables, remove a few screws, and the floppy drive tray slides right out. This tray holds the floppy drive and 2 3.5-inch hard drives. 2 more cables, 4 more screws, and the CD-ROM drive slides right out. The motherboard is mounted to a metal plate on the back, which, after removing 2 screws, slides right out. This plate has screw mounts for mini ITX and mini GTX motherboards. Anything larger will not fit. The power supply is like a weird SFX power supply, with mounting ports on the short side rather than the long side. The Hot Wheels power supplies were infamous for their high failure rate, which was supposedly so bad it led to the company producing these PCs to going bankrupt. And to be honest, pretty much everything about this computer's design and construction is pretty awful. Finally, we gotta talk about the fan. This single 80mm case fan is mounted to the only case fan port on the
Yeah,
entire
I'm getting
PC.
bored. I'm gonna
That's
skip
awesome.
a bit, like. Yeah, you know, skip
All
a
of the
bit.
above. Spicy told her to do her thing.
Ooh,
With
damn.
complete creative control, she went above and beyond, and I couldn't be happier with how they turned out. So if you're looking for a custom painted controller, be sure to check out Spicy Frog. Finally, it was the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time to crank some.
Yes. Oh my god, damn. It's like, it's better than my PCs, bro. Bruh.
Into a single. That resolution may sound kind of low. CRTs have the ability to make modern games look amazing at lower resolutions. They even have some distinct advantages.
Wait on a
Setup was like speakers did have a bass button that
Boost the lower frequencies to try to make it sound
more full. It just couldn't compete. So I was
Okay, guys, this is the end of the video. I got bored, and here's the result. It's pretty good. It went all out, you know. Okay, and hope you guys like it. Enjoy. Bye bye.